Ooh, maybe.
Welcome everybody back to another edition of the Raw and Uncut DC show. And this time we have a special guest right here. This is Mrs. Waller. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Waller.
You got our K-Mask on. She's a big Kane fan here. The big red machine.
I'm not a fan of the Authority though. I just like this mask.
Oh, you got that authority. You want to get that really clear.
Yeah. Let me get that straight right off the bat. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I'm not a fan of Authority Kane. I don't like Kane without his mask on. I love the big red machine. Whenever he's not wearing the mask, I don't like it.
Yeah, I like Kane. I don't like him as part of the Authority though, and I'm a big Triple H fan.
Boo,
So.
the Authority. Boo.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm missing my usual partner on here. Well, I wonder where he is.
Oh, he's here. He's here.
Yeah, I'm wondering because usually he's here right away. I apologize for people. I don't know where he disappeared to. I wonder. What? Oh, that's awesome.
Come join me.
Mask I was looking to buy from a nutty shop. I was like looking to get that. And it's you beat me to it. You beat me to it. I gotta say that's awesome. Like looking like that, it goes good together. I must say. So, from my understanding, it was Corey that got you into wrestling, huh?
Yeah, I vividly remember. Can you hear me okay?
Actually, yeah. Surprisingly, usually this Google's mics are not very good, but I actually hear you pretty clear.
Okay, good. When I first started dating Corey, he's obviously been a huge WWE fan, and I vividly remember sitting in our old apartment, and he would watch wrestling, and I was like, I'm not watching that. It's just annoying. And
No, I'm not watching that crap.
it actually wasn't until he took me to my first event in March of 2013 that I became a fan. Seeing it live and seeing the whole thing was totally different than watching it on TV.
Oh, yeah.
And now we watch all the pay-per-views and Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Raw. I've become quite the fan. So.
In case you guys don't know, you can watch all the pay-per-views on the network for only $9.99. Come on.
$9.99. It's a steal.
Isn't that right?
No.
I want to remind people, just in case you don't know, every single Monday on Raw, I keep telling you.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So what was it about the live show that you liked about it? Was it the entrances, the arrows, or
it was a little bit of everything, but I like the atmosphere. I like the crowd participation. I was really big into the entrances. That was pretty cool. But to actually see it and realize that it's not as fake as I once thought it was, to hear them smacking bodies and hitting each other, and to hear that interaction made it totally different for me.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what it is. You know, one thing I know about people, like when they usually never watch wrestling in the past, taking to live show is the best thing you could do to really get them into it. Something about that live show just really adds to it, because a lot of people just think it's just a fake. When you get somebody like, why don't you watch wrestling? Well, I don't want to watch that fake stuff, until they actually go to the event.
I grew up in a household. My father watched it a little when I was a little girl, so I remember Hulk Hogan, and I remember those days, but not, I didn't get into it because I was a little girl. I would have rather played with Barbies than to watch WWE. But yeah, I grew up around it, so I was pretty familiar with what it was, and then obviously Corey's a fanatic, so.
Yeah, it was a family thing for my dad used to watch it. Of course, he passed it down to me, and for the past, pretty much my whole life, except for a little small period, about 6 months, I've been a hardcore wrestling fan. So it's just been a nonstop ever since then.
Corey can't stop giggling.
So what are some of your favorite wrestlers right now?
I'm probably gonna be the one that is a little off. I am a Cena fan. Yeah, totally. I like Orton. I actually started off hating CM Punk, and then I quickly fell in love with him right before he left. Um, and I guess that's it. I really, really like the Usos. The Usos are probably my favorite. Yeah, I love the Usos. I should have worn my Usos shirt. And I hate Stardust. I hate Stardust. I don't. But that also.
I love Stardust. I love.
Well, so does he. So.
So what was it about CM Punk that you liked, or that you didn't like at first, but then you started to like?
You know, when I first saw him, I didn't understand his thought process, but as I got to watching the shows and getting to see him live was amazing. Because I think we saw one of his last shows before he left. I just found a whole new respect for him. I like the fact that he just did what he wanted to do and didn't care. I like that in a lot of people, and my friends, my family. I feel like people should be able to voice their opinions and not be judged for it. And I loved his character and his voice. Why do you keep laughing at me?
I don't know. Yeah, you did it last time we did a video. You kept laughing.
It's a mask because you continuously go like this, which is kind of funny. But I guess just his smart ass comments, and I enjoy that. So.
Yeah, CM Punk is awesome. He just adds a sense of realism to it. He doesn't really feel like he's playing a character; he's playing himself. He's he's not afraid to say things that most people are afraid to say. So that's why I like about him. Especially after watching his documentary, which was freaking awesome. I love his documentary.
We watched that not too long ago, and that made me more of a fan to see who he was and how he started, and that he started off in such a hardcore situation and just made an awesome name for himself. I miss him so much. Every time we watch an event, I'm like, please let this be the one where he comes back, please. But that hasn't been the case. So
the sad thing is that it doesn't seem like he wants to come back. That's the sad thing.
No. I don't, Corey's big into keeping up with everything that's going on, so whenever we watch an event, he's always like, this is what I predict's going to happen, and 99.9% of the time he's right, but I don't keep up with, like, the blogs or anything that anybody's saying.
Oh, yeah.
But
you do it the best way, because a lot of the times, keeping up that kind of stuff, I can't resist it. I don't know why, it's like an addiction to me, but it kind of ruins the show, because, you no surprises when you look at stuff up, but I always do it anyway, so it's on my own fault.
Yeah, sometimes it's best to keep your own thoughts on what you think is going to happen rather than read a whole bunch of different people's opinions. So.
Yeah, so, but that's just the way it goes nowadays with the internet. Everything's so easily a click away. So you can find out anything. There's like a million wrestling sites on the internet that you can find out what happened on SmackDown this week, and so
yeah, it's the same way with TV shows. I mean, I'm not going to get off subject, but I'm a big, huge Walking Dead fan, and how many different things have they said that's going to happen there? So I just kind of separate myself from everything that's on the internet.
Yeah, well, it's fine. Me and Corey always get off subject all the time. Isn't that right, man?
Yeah, man.
We always get off subject every single video. We're very unprofessional like that, I guess.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't feel too bad then.
Yeah, so I'm going to throw a couple random names, see what you think about them.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar's the current champion. What do you think about the good old Brock Lesnar? You like him?
I don't hate Brock Lesnar. I think he's a little too brutal for WWE. I previously really got into MMA, so I'm familiar with who he is and how his style is and things like that. I don't feel he's the right fit, and I also don't like the fact that he came in and took over. Like, as much as everybody doesn't like John Cena, I feel like he took away something that somebody worked so hard for, and I don't think he's going to be able to live up to what he needs to in that role. So, I don't hate him. I don't think he's a good match for WWE.
And I don't think he likes being WWE. That's the funny part. Like, when he goes out there, it looks like he really doesn't talk. He wants to hurt people.
Yeah, he looks like genuinely like you would not want to run into him in an alley. Like, I straight up would not want to run. I wouldn't even want to run into him in an airport. Like, he's that creepy to me.
Oh no, he actually hates meeting with fans, taking pictures. He really hates all that. He's
And
not
see,
made.
that's the WWE. The one thing I've noticed in the probably year and a half I've been into it is the WWE. The people really care about their fans, and I just don't see that he's the right match for WWE. My
Yeah.
personal.
Well, I see Mr. Cor's been kind of quiet for this thing. What do you think about Brock Lesnar, man? I know you're a big fan.
What do you think about it?
I mean, I'm a big fan of his, dude, but I think he goes far.
I
You
think
know what I think though? I think that apparently from what I read, him and Cena actually have real life beef between them.
I can see that.
You
So
can
it
see
kind of
that,
feels
dude.
like a real competition between the two. That's what I'm liking about
Yeah,
the show. It feels like
when they're together, it's intense. Like, there is true what a newbie looks at it. There's like some true intense emotions there. It's not just a match. It's a brutal, I want to kick your ass type of thing. So,
yeah, that's what I'm liking about it. Because I'm gonna be honest here, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I've never really been a big Cena fan. Just not really a fan of the character. I like more darker characters, but the one thing I love is when Cena
right,
can do a feud like this, he brings up more of an edge to him. And I wish he would do that
right,
more often because I really would love to be a fan of his. I used to love
right.
his old character. He used to be a rapper back when he first started. I don't know if you knew about that about John Cena, but he used to be a rapper character, and I miss that so much because he was so awesome as a
Right.
character. But I will say with feuds like this, he brings out the best in himself, so that's good.
It was a different Cena. It was a different Cena than what even me, who is new, has ever seen. Like, there was a true anger in his eyes.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm playing around. I'm gonna kick your ass whether I win or lose. What he's thinking.
yeah, yeah. Like, I want to take you down no matter what it takes. So it was a different Cena than the happy, I support all the kids guy. He was I'm gonna kick this guy's ass. So yeah, it
Sometimes
was.
I feel bad because I know it's for kids. Never really supposed to appeal to me, but I don't know why I hate that about his character. Maybe it's because they try so hard to
Mold.
protect him like that. I don't know what it is, but I
Right.
love when he has an edge to him. What about you, man? What do
Me
you
too.
think?
I actually do agree.
Yeah.
There's something, it gives a little more reality to who he probably is. I think he genuinely cares about these children, and I think that he enjoys doing the stuff for the troops, but I think there's a deep down rooted piece of him that wants to go out there and tear it up. I mean, why would he get that big? That's brutal. I mean, I don't know. I actually like the edge too. I find it to
That's
be more
good. See, as a newer fan like you see like a totally different side of Cena. It's usually
right.
he's a smiley, goody two shoes, but now you get to see the darker side of him. So
And
that's
I
great.
prefer that. Like, when he was in the ring with Paul Heyman a couple of weeks ago, I was like, please just reach out and knock Paul Heyman out. I would have loved
He's a
that.
good old knock. Call him and take it. He's a big boy. What about you, man? What do you think about? What do you like, man? Do you like darker Cena? You like goody two shoes Cena?
I mean, I've been praying for it to happen. We've talked about this millions of times, man.
Oh yeah, every single day on the phone we always talk about this. I swear it's like a never-ending thing. Or him and The Rock. We talk about the most,
Yeah.
especially The Rock.
Yeah, I remember The Rock from back in the day too. Why do you tilt your head a little bit?
Yeah. Since I brought him up, let's talk. That's Corey's favorite guy right now. Let's talk about The Rock, man. You still like The Rock, man?
Are you talking to me or her?
I'm talking to you first.
I mean, I always like the Rock, dude. I always like the Rock, but I just... Can you hear me?
Water break.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Water break.
I've always liked The Rock. It's just that I just don't feel he's passionate about it, man. I feel like that's what brought him to the success of making movies. Now it's all about making movies.
Yeah, I feel kind of betrayed. I know we talk about this like a million times, like you said, but I have to say this that I'm kind of selfish sometimes, and I wish that he would come back full time and tear the house down. But let's face it, when he came back the last time, he really sucked in the ring. So it's like, do I really want that or no? One thing about Brock Lesnar, he can still go in the ring. You know,
Right.
Rock. What about you? I mean, what do you think about The Rock when he was there?
You know, I kind of came into it as he was kind of starting to make appearances. And Corey told me, you know, he said this he's out there, unfortunately, probably promoting some of the movies. But I remember the old Rock. Like, that's who I remember watching wrestling when I started out at watching it with my dad. So I knew who The Rock was long before I knew what WWE was. I remember The Rock. In regards to him coming back, I didn't get much of a chance to see him. Was it WrestleMania he was at?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him at WrestleMania, and that was about it. Maybe one or two other things he did. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I like him aside from the WWE, but I don't know much about him in the WWE because I kind of came into it late in the game. So.
He only came back briefly for that short Cena feud. Well, it wasn't really short. It went for 2 years, but he wasn't
Right.
really appearances in between that. So.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot going on when I came into the picture. So.
Here's one. What about Chris Jericho? Y2J.
I don't hate Chris Jericho. I don't really have much of an opinion on him, to be completely honest.
His pyros, yeah.
I hate his pyros. They scare
Oh, I hate the pyros when I go to live events. Like,
the pyros. Literally, the first time I went to see WWE, he came out, and I remember being in the ladies' bathroom on a different floor in a different area, and I literally, when it went off, I thought the place was being blown up. Like, seriously, I came back in and was like, I am so glad I missed that. So glad. But other than that, I don't really have much of an opinion on him. I don't pay enough attention to him, I guess.
He's kind of there for you, like, oh,
yeah, right. I mean, I'll watch. I normally go for whoever he's up against. I mean, when he was going against the Wyatts, I went, obviously, for the Wyatts. But, you know, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I hate about Jericho is his pyro. I hate the pyros. I always dread those damn pyros.
The pyros are deafening. They're too much. So.
The worst one is Kane because you don't know when it's coming. Like Kane, big enough Kane coming out next. Like coming out next is Kane, and you know he's gonna go up before he comes out there.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he comes out, and everybody in the room is deaf and peed on themselves.
It's just me. I just can't stand those pyros. It's like why are they so loud? So I guess since we kind of mentioned him, what's Bray Wyatt? That's one of my really favorites right now. I know that's one of Corey's favorites too, for sure.
I actually like them. I like the whole storyline. I think they're all amazing, amazing, amazing performers. I really, really enjoy watching when any of them go up against somebody. Even when they were in a feud against the Usos, I had a hard time determining whether I was going to go for the Usos or for the Wyatt family because I really do like them.
Usually one of the best characters on the current product. I just love watching them every week. Even though I kind of felt like they've taken a nosedive since WrestleMania, but oh well.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of them recently, but you know, I know Corey's a really big fan, and I kind of started to watch them because he obviously is a huge fan. So.
Yeah, we've been talking about wrestling for years, isn't that right, man? What about you, man? What do you think about Bray Wyatt? Because I know you're a huge fan. I want you to let all these people know how much of a huge fan you are.
I mean, I'm like Bray Wyatt when he wasn't even going by Bray Wyatt. He don't even, in an interview, he said he actually hated his first character, which was Husky Harris. He said that it was corporate made, which is, Vince McMahon, Triple H, people like that, made Husky Harris. He said Bray Wyatt is the real guy. All those views that he says right then and there, sort of like a freestyle that he wants to get out to the world. So in reality, he's sort of preaching to the world with reality. He is that.
I love about it. It's like he plays it so good that you actually really buy into just being a real person. Like it's not really even a character no more. That's how good he plays it.
I agree. I agree.
But I mean, like I said, I was a Husky Harris fan, even though Bray Wyatt himself didn't like that character. I was, I was a big Nexus fan at that time, if you remember.
Oh yeah, Nexus. By the way, I'm taking over that mask, man. That mask is so awesome. I'm over here wearing a Scream mask, and they're wearing 2 wrestling masks. Right? Oh well, that's how it goes in the here. So you've been watching wrestling, like you said, for a year and a half now, right?
Yes. Yes.
What has been your ultimate favorite pay-per-view that you've watched for the past year and a half?
Probably I guess it was WrestleMania where Undertaker fell. That was probably my.
Oh yeah, I'll talk about that.
Not because the Undertaker lost, but that will never be in my mind. So I guess that would probably be my favorite. Because when I think first WrestleMania is normally in May, right? Is that right? May, June?
April.
Okay, yeah. I guess the first WrestleMania that I had a chance to watch, I just started to watch wrestling, so I didn't take as much thought into it. But to get to see this last WrestleMania, I have my mixed feelings on Brock Lesnar winning, but that will always be a memorable moment for me, because just watching. I didn't watch wrestling, but I knew who the Undertaker was, and being a newbie watching it and watching the fans react, I realized what a true icon he was. And so I will always remember people's faces and how shocked and how upset people were that he lost. So I guess that would probably be my most memorable and probably my favorite, because I don't really remember much from the year before.
Oh, you're still kind of getting into the product, but yeah, the Taker thing, even to this day, like we still talk about it, like just the reaction of it. Like if I remember correctly, that when you guys were watching the pay-per-view, like you were pulling for Undertaker and he was pulling for Brock Lesnar, but no one ever thought Brock Lesnar was going to win. So, what was your guys' initial reaction watching the match as it happened? Like,
Shocked.
It dropped, because I know mine did. I was like,
I was shocked. Like, not even knowing much about wrestling, I remember my arms covered in chill bumps, and yeah, shocked, and looking over at Corey, and Corey was excited that Brock Lesnar had won because he was a Brock Lesnar fan, but the look on his face, like, I can't believe this just happened. Like, I remember vividly our reactions to it. It was just, it was almost like a piece of what you guys have loved for so long just broke, and it was intense.
To me, it felt like an end of an era, because I've been watching wrestling for like 20 years, and one constant guy that's always been there since I started watching was Undertaker. He's always been there, and it really felt like, oh no, is this the end? Like, it was kind of like an emotional thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm happy Brock Lesnar won, but is this the end of his career? No.
Right.
But it was like, and then I heard he got hurt during the match. And I remember me and Corey were talking about if he came back this year, because last year when he faced CM Punk, he was working injured as well. When he came back this year to face Brock Lesnar, he wasn't fully recovered yet. So it was like, knowing that, I was like, oh god. It was just
Yeah, for a newbie, it was shock. Like, I could tell from people's reactions in the audience, and then even Corey's reaction that this.
What was your reaction, man? Are you still in shock, man?
Like I said, I actually thought they were going to redo it, man. I thought it was like, somehow some referee was going to come out and restart the match, or, so, celebrating. I didn't know whether to celebrate, be sad. Even after we found out it was over, I didn't know really which one to go, be excited or be sad. You know what I'm saying? But like I told you before, I said this was going to happen. I told you a year before this was going to happen. I said if he comes out, he's going to be badly injured and it's going to be over.
I didn't believe you until I saw, like, I remember watching it vividly. I wasn't really paying attention. typing on Facebook, and I saw the 3 count. I was like, wait a minute, was that a botch? There's no way that just happened. And then when they took forever to play Brock Lesnar's music, I was like, when it was official, I still didn't believe it happened. Even Paul Heyman's reaction, like, I mean, he like, I mean, he couldn't even believe it. I was like, I was like, it's got to be a botch. But sure enough, it meant to happen. And so, even to this day, like, I haven't fully soaked it in yet, even though knowing he has lost. But I don't know.
Even when I was watching it, it almost looked like Paul Heyman even looked like, did we really just
shock? He's a good actor, or that was just...
Yeah, or that was pure shock that it actually did happen. So, yeah, it was something I will always remember.
My personal thought is Undertaker was supposed to win, but he couldn't get to his feet, so to make it look good, Brock Lesnar had to end it, and so Paul Heyman's reaction was genuine.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, because, you had a good 5 to 10 minutes pause for even the referees, the ring announcer, anybody to even say anything. It was just like a 5-minute to 10-minute pause, so I think it was like he was not supposed to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal opinion.
That could be true, because if you think about it, the referee took like a long 3 count. Like, he was kind of afraid to even do it. Like, is this supposed to, like, is he supposed to win? Like, he took like 1, 2, pause for a second, and then he went for the 3 count. So, yeah, it was kind of like, and then Paul Heyman's reaction, like, that told the story right there. It's like, he didn't really believe it was going to happen. This is Paul Heyman here. And his client just beat the streak. And he's over there like, oh my God, what just happened? So, do you guys still think that Brock Lesnar was the right guy?
Huh?
Do you still think Brock Lesnar was the right guy to end the streak? Looking back on it now?
Yeah. But I still think if you wanted to boost somebody's career, what better career to boost than Bray Wyatt, the guy that's supposedly the controller of all, to go against a person that calls himself the Dead Man? That would have been a boost in his career instead of giving it to a part-time guy that shows up once a month.
And there's something to be said about that, because Bray Wyatt could have ran with that all the way to the bank. Like, imagine Bray Wyatt's promos rubbing in everyone's faces that I beat the Dead Man. Like, it would be epic, all on all counts, man. So it's kind of like a missed opportunity. You think about it, like, why couldn't Bray Wyatt be the one to do it? But I guess Brock Lesnar kind of works, but it's one of those things where it's always gonna be debatable until the end of time, unfortunately. There's some people that still hate the decision, some people love it. I think that maybe they could have given it to a younger star. But oh well. What's done is done, I guess.
Over with now. There's not much we can do
about it. It could have been me. I could have beat the streak.
You know who it should have been? It should have been The Rock to beat the streak.
Oh. Don't you do that, dude.
You wouldn't go for the helmet. He comes back and takes off right back to Hollywood right after he...
Hey, have you heard the possibility of next WrestleMania?
What's that, man?
Stone Cold versus John Cena.
Stone Cold versus John Cena?
That's what they're saying.
Is that the rumor match right now? Oh, well.
Yeah.
That should be an interesting match, because you talk about 2 different styles right there.
But see, that's once again the same way I feel about Undertaker. When we did these videos, when we talked about Undertaker, people thought that I hated him. It won't that I hated him, that I actually care about their well-being. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's touch on that, because, like you said, because you said it before I did. You said Taker comes back this year, he was going to get hurt. Like, how did you know that was going to happen, man? Because you kind of called it, because he did suffer a concussion that he still hasn't recovered from to this day. He's still injured, so, like, you kind of knew that was going to happen. Like, I didn't really think about it,
I mean, what you got to realize, dude, is a guy that only does once a year because of injuries. I'll tell you the truth that, it's not storyline that he's injured, that Undertaker is just not there no more, man.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you think about it, he wrestles once a year, but he puts it all into that one match. And like you've been talking about, like at WrestleMania 28, when him and Triple H destroyed each other in that Hell in a Cell, like, even when he faced CM Punk last year, you could tell something was off, right? Like, it wasn't a typical Taker street match.
And then just think about that. Triple H has always been the guy in pay-per-views to give he's probably one of the most people that gives his body totally to that match. You notice he don't do it no more. He's the smart one. You know, he took it. You know, took it where he's running the company. You know, a lot of people still want to be in their prime and still keep coming back and still keep coming back till they're just dead.
And the sad thing is that apparently he's supposed to come back next year to face Sting at WrestleMania. I know you're not a big fan of that.
No.
But apparently it's almost confirmed that's going to happen. Like, I'm kind of mad at Sting right now because the last show you guys went to, Sting was supposed to debut at that show, and he didn't show up. It was only for a video game, so I was kind of mad and upset. But, of course, I got myself hyped up for it, so it's kind of my fault anyway.
Oh, it's funny when he laughs at
That's what I'm saying. The whole time he looks like he's laughing.
I just love the Scream mask because it always looks like, you know, just one face the whole time. So I know you're not a big fan of the Authority. Well, why is that? You gotta love the Authority.
I don't hate the Authority. I don't know. I have my opinions on why I think the Authority is okay, but then, you know, I don't know, because I like Seth Rollins. So I guess, you know, when he took that move over to the Authority, I know there was a lot of people that didn't like that. I am a huge Triple H fan, but I like Triple H in the ring, not in the Authority. So I'm kind of on the fence with the Authority. I don't hate them. The Kane mask, I prefer Kane in the ring than I do out of the ring. So I'm kind of on the fence. The people that are in the Authority I like, but I don't like them in the Authority, if that makes sense. I don't like them in that frame of mind, I guess is the word.
Well, I'm kind of biased because I usually love the bad guy, so I just kind of and I love Triple H as a bad guy because, you know, he just plays that role. Yeah. I mean, him and Daniel Bryan this year was probably like the best feud I've ever seen in wrestling. I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. Yes. Yeah, that was like, it felt like a real feud. Like these two really hate each other. But Daniel Bryan was really being held down by Triple H. It was great.
Yeah, now when I first started going and when I first started watching, Triple H was in the ring. He wasn't outside of the ring. The first match I went to, he opened the show. I mean, he was the first one that came out. I vividly remember him, but I guess I see why people don't like the Authority, but I don't have much of a thought on it right now. I guess I just kind of I like the people that make up the Authority, but I don't like them in their roles. I guess nobody really likes the Authority. I don't like my boss some days, but you know.
I like the Authority.
Yeah, the Authority, man. Why is that, man? Why do you like the Authority?
Because all they are is pretty much evolution. You know, just they lost Batista. You know.
I did like Batista a lot.
You know, I'm mad how Batista got treated by the fans. Remember they always booed Batista when he came back?
Yeah.
I liked
it. Think about this though. Batista played like a real character this time around. Well, after about a month or so, then he did. But when he first came back, they tried to push him as a good guy. But I like when he was cutting promos on Daniel Bryan. Like it just felt real. I love when characters play like a real person out there.
Yeah, I could see that. Sorry.
Go ahead. I was done.
But Batista, like I agree, he came out as part of the Authority, but then he kind of broke out and was like, I don't like the way this is being run, and I'm going to do my own damn thing, and either you let me stay and do it, or screw you. I mean, that kind of attitude. And I liked him. I thought he was badass. So I was a Batista fan.
Surprisingly, Corey, you're not really a big fan of Batista, huh, man?
Not really.
You're not really a big fan of his.
Not really.
And I am.
Why is that, man? Why is like Big Dave?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm female, and I hate to admit it, he's not ugly to look at. But B, I did like the fact that he came out, as part of the Authority, and then kind of was like, I don't like the way this is running. So, and he looked like he genuinely had an opinion on how things were being run. And I liked that. Like I said earlier, that's one of the things I liked about CM Punk was that he had his own opinion on how things were being run and was like, F you, this is how I want to do it. And I liked him. I thought he was great. I thought he was great inside the ring, and I thought he was great outside of the ring. So.
That's true. See, one thing I gotta say, I like your taste in wrestling so far, because you like wrestlers that kind of play like true-to-life characters. I like that. That's good. For a new fan, that's pretty awesome how the kind of characters you like in wrestling. So that's good.
Okay.
Now, Corey told me before we started this thing, you're not really a big fan of the CM Punk chants that happen on Raw. When they chant for CM Punk during matches. Well, why is that?
When you mean like when he's not there and there's other people, like his wife? Is that? Respectful, especially if AJ is in the ring. She's her own person. As much as I didn't like her to begin with, she's her own person, and that'd be like if I walked into a room and they were chanting for Corey. I just, not that they do. Let me cut that off.
They do.
But, you know, I feel like the spotlight should be on who's in the ring, not who's not in the ring. I mean, I understand they're CM Punk fans, but I don't know. I just find it to be disrespectful.
You know, what about you, man? What do you think about the CM Punk chants?
I totally agree with what you just said.
Oh, wow. That's a first. That's a
Second.
Well,
I still disagree because I feel like it kind of reminds WWE that CM Punk is not forgotten. But I see your point of view though. Sometimes it gets a little too overbearing though. Like, you know, it's like they don't even know who's out there. You know, so I agree with that.
It's like, let AJ Lee have her moment. I mean, it's just, I know how sick she must feel every time she comes out, and that's the first thing they start chanting. It's like, no, I was AJ before it was CM Punk and AJ. So, I don't know, I just found it to be disrespectful to her.
Now, speaking of CM Punk, I guess I wanted to do this a while back, but kind of put it off here. I've been wondering, like, why he left. Do you guys have any theories about why you think he probably walked out, or like why he went back?
I mean, just from the brief time that I was able to see him, about a year or so, I just think he probably got fed up with the Authority. I think he probably, just the image of what I know as the CM Punk and the fact that he was so vocal and so opinionated, I think he just finally was like, screw you. If you're not going to let me be who I am and let me do my own thing, I'm out of here. And I think that it was not only a wrestling decision, I think it was a personal decision behind the scenes that he was just like, I'm done. I'm done listening to what they want me to do. I want to be my own person, and I'm out of here. So, and I unfortunately, at this point, don't see him coming back. I don't.
I got to say, I do miss his, you know, his passion. He had it wasn't just for some guys, it's just a paycheck wrestling is, but for guys like CM Punk, it was like a real passion. He had a real passion for wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
He did, and it wasn't just a job to him, you know. When he went out there and he cut a promo, you could tell it came from right here. There was no fake stuff with him. So that's why I'm concerned, because you could tell they're lacking a lot of guys like that nowadays. As much as I hate Cena sometimes, I will say he cut some damn good promos sometimes. And you can tell he loves doing wrestling. So, what about you, man? What do you think about CM Punk walking out? I just can't get over that massive.
I don't know, man. I'm on the fence with the whole.
What happened, man?
with the thing, man. I don't know how to feel.
You know how to feel, man?
I'm not sure, man. But I do think I'm gonna add to what she said about the whole AJ thing. This is why I agree.
What's he doing with his leg?
I don't know what's going on there. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Are you
this
drunk,
is
man?
we're not into that kind of video chat.
I tried to stretch out because my leg was falling asleep. But
I'm kidding.
No, basically, I'm gonna add to what she said about the whole AJ thing. That people come out there regardless. I mean, you don't hear people when Nikki Bella comes out there chanting CM Punk. I mean,
What?
who did I just say?
John Cena.
John Cena.
yeah.
It's just like you said with the whole, you were disappointed with the whole Sting not coming out thing. I think that's the problem with wrestling fans is they're counting on seeing that one person, so they're ready to fast forward. Even when they're at live events, they're really not paying attention to the person that's supposedly rumored to be there comes out, so they're not really paying attention to all the quality matches that has happened, and they rush the show for a guy that doesn't show up. Then they say, it wasn't a good show. Why? They were disappointed because a certain person didn't show up. I think it ruins it when you just concentrate on that one person. I hope this person shows up or all that. I think that's people's problem. People are, begging for CM Punk to come back, and then now you can always find the favorite wrestler.
Yeah. And there's a lot of guys in the roster you could get behind, so I just see your.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you guys hear me?
No.
No, now we can. Now we can.
I was hoping it didn't cut out again. I was getting kind of worried here, but yeah, like I said, they could do it a little too much sometimes. I'm not personally too bugged by it. I don't really mind it so much, but I can say sometimes they go a little overboard with it. How annoying it probably could be to other people. But I guess people they want to believe he's coming back here soon, but just they got to realize, he didn't leave on a happy note. So if he does come back, it's not going to be for a long time. That's for sure.
I believe.
I believe, brother. Oh man. So I know you guys just subscribed to WWE Network so far, right?
For $9.99.
Only $9.99, right, per month.
Yeah.
You get all the pay-per-views, for the rest of the year. Hopefully next year too. They haven't touched on that, but you guys watch it much, or?
We mainly watch it for the pay-per-view events, but we have gotten on there a few times and watched some of the documentaries and things like that. But we mainly watch it when it's a pay-per-view.
Yeah, because just can't beat the $10 a month,
Yeah, no, $9.99.
Yeah, you just can't beat $9.99. Yeah, I mean, I when I first got it, I barely used it, to be honest. It's kind of funny, and now I use it all the time. Because they put more quality documentaries on there. Like the Shield documentary was really, really good. I like that one.
Yeah.
The Warrior one was good. Kind of sad though.
Yeah, we watched that one.
What?
The Ultimate Warrior. Oh.
But as a wrestling fan, that's by far the best that they've done a lot of times at that network. Because I can go back and watch any pay-per-view from 20 years ago or 10 years ago. So I love it.
I actually feel like we should use it for that, so I can see some of the older matches, so I can get an idea of what it was like. Because, like I said, all I remember is Hulk Hogan, and he was the good guy, and that's, I don't remember much other than that. I think it'd be fun to go back and watch. Like, when we do watch the documentaries, I enjoy how they came out and got started, like watching Triple H come from just this guy to having so many different personas made me have a new respect for him than I had before. So I think going back and watching some of those older ones, that was my favorite.
Yeah, they did do a really good job on that documentary. I wish they would add more, though. But they are uploading a lot more on the network lately. But I will say that's a good idea. I know what a wrestling time period I'm a big fan of. It's called The Attitude. I know Corey told you about that. That's interrupting us here. But hey, you should go back and show The Attitude era, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch any of them. I think
All right, here you go. Here's a person or two people you haven't touched on that I'm interested in her discussing here.
Okay, go ahead, man. Take it
All
away.
right, I'm going to go first with Dean Ambrose.
I did not like him as part of the Shield. I thought he stole the limelight. Oh. But on his own, I think he's badass. I think he's hardcore. Like, I don't feel like he holds back, and I love that. I thoroughly enjoy watching him wrestle. I think he's just passionate and intense, but I did not like him as part of the Shield. I thought he was just the center man that didn't give the backup guys the opportunity to be who they were. But now that he's broken apart, I think he's amazing.
You know, I actually talk about him because I actually love him, man. He's one of my favorite guys to watch right now. I love that badass of his character. Don't give it two craps. And he's the man.
Yeah, like a rebel. Is that a kitty?
Yeah, that's what I'm actually trying to interrupt her little video here. She's a big fan of Dean Ambrose too. He always watches. What about you, man? You like Dean Ambrose?
I've liked him from the beginning, dude. And
Yeah.
I told you, and I said this a long time ago, if you can rewind the tapes or however you do, play them back, I said that he was the next Stone Cold, if not the real Stone Cold, that Stone Cold was an actor. I don't feel Dean Ambrose.
Well, that's controversial.
You watch interviews with him on, like, the radio station, he's that same guy, dude. He's just weird as hell. Are you laughing?
I catch her and say hi. Say hi. Say hi, kitty. So who else we haven't discussed yet? I feel like we skipped somebody. Huh?
Roman.
Oh, Roman Reigns, or what I call him, Roman Noodles.
I actually really liked. I thought Roman Reigns was the Shield. I thought he was. If I could get past my husband laughing so hard behind his mask, I could talk. But he's laughing so hard that the sofa's moving.
Oh, I'm professional. How could you, man?
Roman Reigns, I thought he was the Shield. I thought he was the reason why they were so successful. As a group, I did not feel like Corey loved the Shield, and I know that. But I feel like as different.
Put it in, man.
Believe in the Shield.
But I think it sucks for him right now that he's going through what he's going through at the height of his career. I'm hoping that he comes back and can come back in the same type of role as he is now, because I think he's amazing. I think the only thing that might hold him back is his being on the mic. I don't feel like I feel like he does a good job with the build-up, but then once he gets on the mic, he's just kind of loses a little bit of it because he's not very good with the audience. But I think as a person and as a wrestler, I think he's amazing. I think he was the reason the Shield did so well. But I hope for him that he's able to come back in where he left off, and I'm just afraid he won't be able to.
See, for me, I want to like Roman, but his mic skills kind of like ruined it for me a little bit, because you could tell like he's just not very natural on the mic. I feel like that's very important.
I agree.
To like him.
I agree 100%.
But other than that, as far as in-ring work goes, I'm kind of 50-50 on that.
Hmm.
He has a presence in the ring, but I feel like sometimes he's kind of like, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of his finishing move. The Superman punch. Not really a big fan of that. I don't know. He has a lot of work to go with me for a little bit, but I don't hate the guy. He wasn't my favorite in the Shield. My favorite actually was Ambrose and Rollins, but I still like the Reigns.
All right, I got another one for you.
Oh, okay. We got one more, I think.
Oh, we got a few more.
Oh God.
You ready?
Yeah.
Out of the divas, which ones do you like? Which ones would you like to talk about?
I am a Brie fan.
Brie mode!
Brie Bella.
I think her sister is very fake, phony. I did not like AJ when I first started watching, but I love her now. I hate Paige with a passion.
Is that? He's not really a big fan of Paige either, so.
No, I don't like that somebody could come in that I didn't even know who she was and take over what Naomi was trying so hard for. I feel like that match, it was Naomi, right? The one that's married to the Uso. Yeah, I think she's an amazing wrestler, and I don't feel like she had the fair advantage there. I like Natalia, okay. I don't like Summer, whatever her name is. Summer Rae. I'm not a fan of hers. I would say if I had to pick a wrestler out of the divas, it would probably be Brie. I'm a big Brie fan. I think she's badass. I think she comes out there and she's another one. She just doesn't care. She doesn't care what the authority says. She doesn't care what anybody else says. She comes out there, she kicks ass, and she leaves, and that's the way it should be. So that cat wants on this video so bad. Oh.
She loves the camera. I tell you.
So,
Daniel Bryan.
How can we forget about him, Daniel Bryan?
Yes! Yes!
Yes!
Yes!
Huge fan of Daniel Bryan. I think he didn't get the opportunity that he deserved. I think the authority genuinely did not like him. And I feel like from a wrestling standpoint, that boy had moves. Like, that guy had moves. Like, I've never seen anybody move throughout the ring like he did. I just feel like was never really accepted by the authority, and I genuinely feel they have a hatred towards him.
Like I said earlier, I love that storyline between Triple H and Daniel Bryan.
Oh, yeah.
I love it when it feels so real. Like going into WrestleMania, that's one of the things I love. That storyline between him and Daniel Bryan, like great storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they had more of those. Actually, they don't do too much nowadays. Like real storylines like that. I really miss that. So, and I hope he comes back though.
Me too.
I heard really bad about his injury, but I don't know. He's not looking very good.
No. Me too. I hope he comes back as well. He was actually, when I started going, he was hooked up with Kane. They were a team when I started.
Oh, yeah, great tag team.
Yeah. So I enjoy watching him in the match, and I just think, or in the ring, I just think he's just, I've never seen anybody have so many different thought processes going on and be able to do as much as he did in the ring. So, and he was a good storyline person. He did a good job with those.
So I have two more names before we, I guess, wrap this up here. The first one is not really a wrestler, but he has a big presence on wrestling. Paul Heyman. What do you think about good old Paul Heyman?
I think he's good for business. I think he does a good job. And the only reason I think this is because of the CM Punk documentary. Paul Heyman was the one that was like, you got to get this guy, you got to get this guy, you got to get this guy. He's good, he's good. I feel like he's a good manager. I know it won't ever happen, but I'd like to see him take John Cena. Like, I would love that. I would love for him to drop Brock and take Cena. I think everybody that he brings out, I feel like everybody he brings out does well for themselves. So, I think just from watching it that he does a good job with the folks that he brings out, and I feel like he's a good manager. You agree?
Mhm.
What about you, man? You've been kind of quiet this video, man. We're gonna get you talking.
Yeah.
I'm following buzzards over here, man.
Oh, the buzzes over there, man.
Man, I'm
What do you
not
think
supposed
about
to talk. I'm
Paul
the one
Heyman?
to talk.
What do you think about good old Paul Heyman, man? I know you're a
I
big
mean,
fan.
I liked him from when he, was ECW, man. So, I mean, I've always been a fan of Paul Heyman.
Do you think that he should leave Lesnar, or do you think that he should stay with Lesnar?
See, that's the problem with Lesnar. If you call yourself a champion and you can't be a champion and be main eventer without the guy that he's never really left his side, man. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is true. I wonder about that. You can call yourself a badass, but you need this guy
Exactly.
talking.
So you don't have to talk. Brock Lesnar does not have to talk and does not need a mouthpiece as in Paul Heyman. And like I said before, it's like, CM Punk was a Paul Heyman guy. Then it was Curtis Axel and Ryback. Soon as Brock Lesnar came, Paul Heyman left those three behind to focus on Brock Lesnar, which destroyed Ryback and Curtis Axel's career because they were finally starting to get up there because of Paul Heyman. And once again, all eyes are on Brock Lesnar. That's the problem I have with Brock Lesnar. More than anything, that's the problem.
You're like, screw it, it's good that I'm focusing on Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar's back. That's what Paul Heyman does.
But I want to actually talk on a person. We need to do this. One wrestler we'd like to get him out of there. We're going to do that each time we discuss this, man.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Oh God, I don't know. Oh my God.
Are you ready?
Huh?
Rusev.
Oh, I was gonna say that. That's what I was gonna say.
Rusev, I will say this, dude, and you know, we've talked so many times of one of my favorite wrestlers has always been Mark Henry, dude, and he's always got shitted on. And why would you have him lose at the pay-per-view? Then come out there with Lillian Garcia doing the Star Spangled Banner, and him like boo-hooing, crying, just to lose again, just to get embarrassed again. You're the world's strongest man in real life. And I got the feeling, and do you see it? Do you see who's going to beat Rusev?
No, I didn't see it yet. I haven't watched a chance to watch Raw or anything this week.
Asking you, who do you think's actually going to beat this guy?
Oh, who's going to beat this guy? I'm thinking it's going to end up being Cena.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
He stands by this whole Russian thing, so it's obviously got to be an All-American to beat him. I got the feeling WrestleMania it's going to be Hulk Hogan versus Rusev, Hulk Hogan winning, which is that's a terrible idea.
Hulk Hogan coming back.
He said
everyone wants to see that.
He said I got the feeling that's going to be the one more match. So you done totally embarrassed a guy like Mark Henry. He embarrassed Big Show on last SmackDown. Jack Swagger tried to beat him, which should have beat him. I mean, how many times did they fight? It's going to be Hulk Hogan, which is not believable, man. The man can't even walk right.
Yeah, that would be a stupid idea. I don't know if I would not like that at all. I like Hogan, not that much, but he should not get back in the ring ever again.
And either that, if he's such a badass character, then put the Rusev, the unstoppable guy, against Brock Lesnar.
And you hear the news that apparently Brock Lesnar's not supposed to show up again until November. So, what's going to main event the shows until then? I guess it's probably going to be Rusev going to be in the main event.
So that's the guy that I say that really needs to go. If they release anybody, he needs to go, man. It's the same song and dance. It's actually getting boring. At first, I was like, they've got something here with this girl that, is pretty much the female Paul Heyman. Because if it weren't for her, I don't even think he was, it didn't catch my eye until she actually came out there and was like the mouthpiece for him. And it just got to, he just irritates the hell out of me.
I
Like
don't
he
know.
needs,
If they're building it for a Hogan match, that's really stupid.
I think, all right, remember I said this, damn it. It's probably going to be at WrestleMania that he's going to lose versus Hulk Hogan. One more match.
Oh god, that's so stupid. And that's honestly, that's gonna damage his career too. You think about it, man. He could beat Mark Henry, Jack Swagger, but he can't beat an old Hulk Hogan. That's gonna damage his career beyond repair.
Either that, the best way they could go, which would actually help out Undertaker if he could handle it, is Undertaker come back as the biker guy that he used to be there for a while, the American Badass, which would make sense.
You know, that would make sense. If I'd rather anything but him facing Hulk Hogan. I don't want to see that. So anything else other than that, I'd be fine.
All right, you said you had one more person.
One more person before, I guess I kind of say the best for last. I don't know if we touched on him yet. I don't remember. Maybe you can remind me if we have. Randy Orton.
Love him. Nothing else to say. I love him. I think he's. I think he's amazing. I think he's badass. I think he's phenomenal in the ring. I think he's phenomenal on the mic. I think he's the face of the WWE when he was. I think Randy Orton is probably, he was the first one I loved. Like, he was just so badass. I love Randy Orton. I think he's a great wrestler.
The ladies love Randy Orton.
Yeah. I mean, he's not hard to look at by any means. But even watching him in the ring, he's so smooth and just good at what he does. And I mean, the match I saw him with the first time, him and Daniel Bryan were against somebody, and I just remember watching the two of them between Daniel Bryan being so quick and then Randy Orton being so smooth and sly, and just, I love him. I love Randy Orton.
Yeah, I bring him up because I feel like he's so underrated. Like, usually when people talk about Randy Orton, they usually bash him. I don't know why. There's nobody that I think that's better in the ring right now. Even maybe slightly better than Daniel Bryan in the ring is Randy Orton. He's just, like you said, he's so smooth. You know, it just fits his character so well. Yes, his mic is kind of here or there, but you know, he plays that persona so well. You know,
Right.
I feel like he's so underrated. That's why I'm not. Isn't that right, man? You know, Randy Orton's underrated. Like, he doesn't get the respect he deserves.
I agree with that.
Like, what do you think about Randy Orton, man? Because I know you're a big fan. Go ahead and mark out for Randy Orton.
All right, dude. I'm gonna go and say it. There's, I've always said the greatest of all time. I can get hated every time I say this, but I will say this till my dying day. The greatest of all time is Triple H.
Well, you get a lot of hate for that, but I'm not disputing you with it.
You cannot say Hogan, which is a man that only did, 3 moves tops, compared to a person like Triple H that put his heart and soul into it every single night, whether it was a house show, whether it was Monday Night Raw, whether it was SmackDown, whether it was a pay-per-view, every Triple H match, regardless, you've got a pay-per-view worthy match in Triple H. Now, since we're talking about Orton should be the second one.
Well, you get a lot of controversy for that one, for sure.
When a guy does moves that actually injure people and they ban him from doing a certain move,
You're badass.
he's a badass, man.
He's badass.
Well, he's not a fake badass. He's a natural badass. That's what I love about it.
Like, naturally, it just comes to him, and he's smooth, and he's just so good at what he does, and there's so much realness to him. Like, it's not, I feel like even if you said, go out there, Randy, and be 100% you, we're getting 100% him. The only time I've ever seen him maybe break down out of character for even 1 minute would be around his daughter. I mean, period. He is just that person, no matter whether we saw him in an airport or if we saw him in the ring. That's who he is, and he takes no shit. And I think he's great. I think
Yeah,
he's great.
I love wrestlers so far. It's great. You taught her well. All the good wrestlers you like is good. 'Cause I remember seeing Randy Orton at the house show. I think it was 3 years ago, and he actually was getting booed by the fans, which same old shit. And he just did. I forgot what movie he did, but he set the whole crowd up. Like that's why I love Orton. He's such a badass. I love it. You don't take no shit. It's great. I feel like he's so underrated. It's so sad how underrated he is.
Even when we went and saw this most recent WWE event, people were booing him. He's like, what the hell? Leave me alone. I'm in here to do my effing job. I don't care what you people think. So
yeah, because he actually interacted with the fans. It's so hilarious, and he gave the guy a finger when he left who was booing him. I was like, I don't know, I just love when they interact with the audience like that. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, definitely.
So, do you guys plan on going to any more live shows in the future?
Yes, we're going to one in December. Every time they come through here, we plan on going, and I am getting closer and closer to wanting to be ringside. Like, I want to be right there. I don't want there to be anything but a wall separating me and the ring. This last time we were able to sit 5th row, and that was amazing. But I was still even jealous of the folks that were a couple of rows ahead of us. So we're going to, it's a house show, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to a house show in December that's coming to Richmond on a Monday night. We'll be going to that. And believe it or not, there probably won't be another match that comes through that we miss. We'd have to be in property to not go.
Well, I just got my tickets about last week. I'm going to because they're having TLC pay-per-view here in my area, so I will be going to. So my first pay-per-view since WrestleMania. I went to WrestleMania a couple of years ago. I gotta say, one thing that you have to experience as a wrestling fan is go to WrestleMania live.
Yeah, we want to.
Hopefully, hopefully we can plan it out in the future. That'd be pretty cool. So I'll go to WrestleMania and hang out. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think this has been a fun discussion. So before it goes too long here, I guess I'll cut it off here. So do you have any last words for all these wonderful people that have watched this video?
No, coming from a newbie, I love it. So I am a true diehard WWE fan now.
That's
I know
great.
he wants to say something.
Follow the buzzards. Run.